Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. It is scoring the players' time for Newcastle 1, Aston Villa 1. It's currently Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace. And if there's any goals, my brother will probably shout he's a big Liverpool fan, so just a quick mention there. But scoring the players' time for Newcastle's 1-1 draw. And the Steve Bruce derby, of course. Martin Dubravka, not one of the best moments in his Newcastle career was that goal, was it, Kyle? What would you give him for that one?
It's a difficult one because he took a couple of decent crosses, a couple of difficult crosses he took very well. His distribution is probably the worst I've ever seen it today. The amount
Score.
The mistake counts a massive part in this. I can't give him any more than a 3. I think the goal that I love Dubravka, don't get us wrong. I think he'll save a lot more points than he'll cost with, but I think he's got to be saving that. It goes right through him. Lack of communication with Shelvey as well, which is alarming. His distribution was poor. I can't give him any higher than a 3. It's a rare bad game for Dubravka, and he will bounce back like he always does. But 3 out of 10 for a day.
Should Shelvey just kick it away though, Kyle?
I think one of them should shout for it at least, because when you're under the cosh like that, you need to have communication, talk, and like have a bit of authority, and none of them had that. So that it will go against Shelvey as well later on, definitely. But 3 for Dubravka for me.
Sam, I'll let you continue with our right back, and that is Javier Manquillo. Defensively, all right. Going forward again, though, he had a couple of chances to cross the ball on a plate for Joelinton, for Carroll, for Gayle a couple of times as well. I'm just thinking, I've never been his biggest admirer, I have to be honest, but how did you rate him today, Sam?
So I've gone for Steady Eddie and I've gone for 6. Reason being, you've got to remember for the vast majority of that game, he's working with ASM, who's kind of like Olivier Bernard and Laurent Robert back in the day. The guys like Robert and your Ben Arthurs and your ASMs, they don't like tracking back as much as maybe they should, but that's what you get with them kind of players. You've got to give them that kind of leeway. But you're right in what you say. Going forward, Manquillo is not great. He was Steady Eddie at the back. I don't think the defence was. I don't think it was the most comfortable evening, considering Villa are poor. They're second bottom for a reason. So
should have beaten us though, Sam.
Yeah, they should. That's part of a wider problem. Goal conceded from a set piece, which isn't surprising at all because it's a recurring theme. But Manquillo, I thought the wing backs were better than the centre backs today. So yeah, that's why I've gone for 6.
I slightly disagree. I thought Fernandes was quite steady. I thought he was quite solid. I think he.
Oh no.
No, Johnny.
No, I thought he was all right, mate.
He was shit the day, man. How were you?
Not for me. I thought he was all right today. I thought Samata was a handful, but I thought it was more towards Lascelles than he was towards Fernandes. I thought he was okay.
Samata had his life, mate. Honestly, he was pulling him around left, right, and centre.
Did Samata score?
No, but Villa could have been on the field by themselves, and they wouldn't have scored more than one. If we're for a Dubravka mistake.
I disagree. I thought Fernandes was. I thought he was quite steady. I thought in the second half.
What are you giving him then?
I'll give him a 6. I thought he was quite steady. I don't think he was the worst defender on the pitch. I thought you could argue maybe Lascelles was worse than Fernandes today, but. No, get your comments in below. It's a good debate. It's a great debate. Obviously, Kyle and Sam are slightly different towards my opinion on Fernandes, but I don't think it was the worst centre half on the pitch today. Kyle Jamaal Lascelles was asking for a red card for Luiz, who I thought was probably one of Villa's bright sparks this afternoon.
He was one of Villa's luckiest players. I thought he should have been. It would have been harsh to give him a red, but I've seen less things happen for a red card to happen. I mean, he dived and then slid down Almiron, which should have been a yellow card in itself, and then the thing with Lascelles where he was overly aggressive. But Lascelles
on his performance, Kyle, what would you give him?
Well, I'm just gonna give him on what you've gave Fernandes. I thought they were equally as rubbish, to be honest. Lascelles had a couple of decent headers away and things like that, but just basic defending, I think he's had in that game. But to be honest, I think they both got ran rampant by Samata. I thought he had a really good game, and if he had good end product, he would have 1 or 2 goals a day. Thought they were pretty poor defensively, which is a surprise given how comfortable of an afternoon they had against Sheffield United.
I understand that. I understand. Like, I'm not saying Samatta wasn't a handful for them, but was he? I don't think he was that bad as Liverpool make it 3-0 to Fabinho. As my brother you might have heard my brother in the background there. But no, in all seriousness, I think it was a tough afternoon. But if it was Aguero or Jesus for Sunday, if it was a better team, even if it was someone like a Jordan Ayew, I think Jordan Ayew would have probably got at least one on the score sheet today. So it's a good debate. It's a good debate, shall we say? Sam, let's continue with Danny Rose because I don't know. I don't think he was that bad. I thought he started poorly, but I thought he grew into the game as the game went on.
Yes, he did okay. He probably was the pick of the back four, to be honest, which is why. I mean, I didn't want to give him a 7, but I'm going to because you've been very generous to the centre-backs because I thought he was the pick of the back four, to be honest. He made one cracking tackle.
That's what I was going to highlight. Brilliant tackle.
Superb. That was the Danny Rose that we really want to see in the black and white. Superb tackle. I think he works well down the left with Ritchie. I think them two have quite a nice understanding that's blossoming. Again, I don't think he works that well with ASM because 2 games in a row now, ASM started on the left and he's had to be shifted out to the right because it's not working down that side between him and Rose, and there's not as much creativity on that side of the pitch as when ASM's on the right with Manquillo. But no, Rose did fine. I just can't believe how generous you've been to the centre-backs. I thought they had the pants down today. I think it reminded me so much of that game, Norwich at home, where actually, coincidentally, the 3 of us were on scoring the player duty that day, and they struggled with Timu Puki's movement. Didn't score, but still caused us problems, ran the channels, which Samatta did. All right, he didn't get...
Sorry, Sam, you've got to remember, though, right? Yes, it wasn't their best games in the whole. I'm not exaggerating on that, but I only thought it was the first 20-25 minutes on them two because you got on the 2 centre halves. Because hear me out, Kyle. Hear me out. Because look,
I'm shaking my head at the comment.
Oh no, right, sorry. I was just going to say because after the drinks break, I actually thought the whole team improved, and I think we improved up to the point Villa scored. If we're being brutally honest, Villa from that point onwards towards half time didn't really test Dubravka. And from half-time onwards, I thought Newcastle were pretty comfortable up to a certain Newcastle level, shall we say. So that's why, if you're looking at the whole general activity, if you take away the first 20 minutes and maybe the last 5 minutes, where if you gave it another 5 minutes, I think they probably would have nicked the game. But I don't think Fernandes and Lascelles were that bad throughout the whole game, if that makes sense. 20 minutes, 25 minutes, yeah, I can understand, but I don't think they were that bad for the whole 90, 95 minutes, to be honest.
No, but they had their moments, like Johnny, where they were really short.
Newcastle centre half hasn't, though, Kyle.
Well, Jamaal Lascelles, when he picked up his yellow card, he was so out of position. Jack Grealish picked up the ball, and Lascelles was about 10, 20 yards out of position, and he had to pick up a yellow. He was that far out of position, so it's just one example of many of how they were poor today. But they're not always poor; they're usually consistent over the most part. So yeah, it's just a rare off day for a couple of them.
Just like Dubravka.
Just like like Dubravka for sure.
Isaac Hayden, I thought handled Grealish very, very well. I thought he was probably one of our better players today. I think Bruce kind of told him just try and stick with him as much as you can. Try and stop him playing. Try and stop him interlinking with the forward players. And to an extent, I thought he'd done that pretty well. I go 7 out of 10 for Isaac Hayden. I like the fact that he's going to probably pick up a few other cards because he's that sort of player, but he'll stop the game when probably we need to. And he's very disciplined, which was said before. But I'll go 7 out of 10 just for the man marking on Grealish.
Yeah, I hope he's okay.
It is a concern. It's a soft tissue injury, same as Ritchie, which we'll touch about very, very shortly as well. But that'll probably more on the last word with Lee. Jonjo Shelvey, Kyle, brightish spark.
I don't think he played very well today, Johnny. I thought he looked comfortable. On the ball, and he had a couple of decent passes forward, but he just didn't control the game at all. I think the plan from Villa was to have a high press as soon as we had the ball, and I think.
What's the score, Carl? Sorry, just a stand.
I'll give him a 6. can't give him any more than that. He had a pretty bland day. It was because of the pressure from the Villa midfield. It made it a very difficult afternoon for him, and they had him well scouted, that's for sure. But I can't give him any more than a 6. It was a very unspectacular afternoon from Jonjo.
Do you think he was just? I don't know. It's probably more than the last one, but do you think he was outnumbered in the midfield? Because you noticed that Villa had an extra man in midfield, especially in the centre midfield.
That McGinn, Grealish, and that Louise, and they were all energetic and they were all high on the press. And I think that's how Miggy suffered a lot, because he had to drop deep to compete with the free in midfield with Hayden and Shelvey.
I agree with you, Mark, just to butt in, sorry, but I think it wasn't for lack of trying with Jonjo, because the effort was there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You could tell the effort was there, because sometimes you do get where he just floats around and doesn't really get it. But that wasn't the case today, just things weren't pulling off for him.
That's pretty much, the effort was definitely there, for sure.
That's why I kind of indicated as a bright spot, because every time that Newcastle did get the ball, it was him that was trying to do things from midfield, where Villa kind of dominated for the first 25 minutes or so anyway. You touch about Miguel Almiron, Sam, in regards to maybe having to do more defensive work, and we didn't really see much of him going forward. Does that reflect in your score?
Yeah, I thought he was poor today. And
I agree.
I'm a big fan of Miggy, but I've gone 5 because it wasn't for lack of trying. He did put the effort in. He does put a shift in every time, but it just wasn't happening for him. He took a touch when he shouldn't have done for that glorious chance in the second half. I kind of made the point when I was on the fan reaction earlier that maybe it was maybe it's a confidence thing. He was full of beans before lockdown, and now he's kind of taking that extra touch again when he doesn't need it. Although I think it was TJ in South Africa said maybe he was just tired or something like that, which is a point, because the effort he puts in. 2 games in 3 days? Maybe he should have been taken off or rested.
Have we got to remember? Sorry, Sam, but have we got to remember that there's 2 games in 3 days where we haven't played a game for 3 months,
and it was an unchanged side as well.
Exactly.
It was an unchanged side, which we'll touch upon when we give Steve Bruce his score. But all right, it's 2 games against. 2 games in 3 days, but it's 2 winnable games in 3 days against a team second bottom of the league that have taken 4 points off us now.
Yeah, I think if it was the other way around, I think if we beat Villa and drew with Sheffield United, I think it probably would look a little better. Yeah, and it's still the same. It's still the same 4 points, but it's just the way how it's gone. I'm going to continue with Matt Ritchie. Similar to Shelvey, I thought he was quite bright. He wanted to take a few shots, which he did. Again, he had to do quite a lot of defensive work. Again, another injury. I'm going to go 6. I don't think he would be as good as maybe an ASM or a Hayden in that sort of 7 out of 10 mark. But I thought he was okay in what he did. He tested Ireland, who I don't think is a very good goalkeeper at all, by the way. I hope Pepperina's not getting in front of him. He must be having a shock at the minute, like in training. But no, 6 out of 10 for Matt Ritchie. Hopefully he's available for the game against Man City, but maybe it's a chance for Valentino Lazaro. Kyle, Alan Saint-Maximin was given man of the match by BT Sport and Robbie Savage. Didn't obviously play as well as he did against Sheffield United, but Villa were frightened of him.
They were. Well, Robbie Savage did one good thing right in his commentary today, because he was absolutely flipping shocking. But if we're going to give him a rating, I'll give him a -10.
We do
Savage,
have a relationship with BT Sport. I remember that.
I do like BT Sport, and they're good friends of the channel. But please get rid of Robbie Savage off your commentary. But on to Maximin. He didn't have as effective of a game as he did on the weekend, but he was really energetic. Every time he had the ball, Villa's defence were shitting themselves. They were constantly tracking back, constantly trying to foul him, constantly trying to take him down. And we always need that live wire. We're becoming so dependent on Alan Saint-Maximin now. It's quite mental. Similar to the way Palace are defensively set up well with like a live wire up front. They have Zaha. We have Alan Saint-Maximin, and although it didn't pull off for him today, he's still that constant threat that we've needed for a while now. And I think Maximin definitely gets a 7 for me. Yeah.
Just remember to put your scores at the beginning.
7? Is that it? I think that's pretty harsh. I think if
you reckon,
I think it's fair.
I'd have gone 8 personally, but that's just because every positive attacking move was coming through him. If we were going to get a winner today, it was coming through him.
Didn't have any shots on target though, Sam.
No, I know, but that comes down to the point that we make most of the time about end product, and he was starting to find some consistency. All right, it wasn't really happening tonight, but reference point when he beat 4 players and then beat the same 4 players again and then ran through, and the shot was horrendous. But that's what you get with a kind of player like him, and he's still young and he's going to improve. He was our only. I think we're becoming over reliant on him, and if he gets injured, then going forward we're even more screwed than we are now.
I think we're just lucky that we're on 39 points and we're safe for another season. I think obviously this FA Cup game is hanging over us, and if we were to win, which I know is a slim chance at best, he's got to be on his game. He's got to be taking those 1, maybe 2 chances at best he's going to get against Man City on Sunday night. Who spoke about this? And Kyle spoke about him. So Joelinton for you, Sam. I'm probably even going to say this. I actually thought he was going to score in the first half. I was quite impressed when he did that little step over and took it away from Wings. And I actually generally thought he was going to score, but a quiet afternoon.
Yeah, I was delighted when you give me Joelinton on Sunday. I'm not happy now. It's a tricky one because he did have a great chance, but I'm going to go with a 5.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Apart from that, he never really got involved too much. He was making clumsy errors. He wasn't holding the ball up. There was things I didn't like about his performance today, and I'm usually a bit of a defender of Joelinton, but it was bang average, and the game obviously changed when he got replaced and Carroll got brought on.
Do you think Joelinton would have scored Gale's chance, Sam?
Yes.
Do you, Kyle?
I think you would have actually. I'll gamble on saying Joelinton would have scored.
Your comments agree with them too on that one. No, we're just digging these out a little bit. We're going to start with Dwight Gayle. He's going to be the first substitute we're going to talk about. 1 shot, 1 goal. And yes, Kyle put in a fantastic pass, which I'll let Kyle talk about in a second. But that's the only thing he did, really, if I'm being brutally honest with Dwight Gayle. But I'm going to have to give him a 7 because he's got the goal. He's only played 20 odd minutes. Yeah. But he's got the goal, and that's the reason why Newcastle. 2 seconds, there we go. That's the only reason why Newcastle are getting the point today, because of his finish towards the end. Go away, cat.
What's with cats in this channel?
Oh no, loads, isn't it? But yeah, 7 out of 10 for me on that one. Great finish, and again, it's the reason why we've got a point and we're going to probably be okay now, if we weren't okay before. But great finish, and he'll need the confidence because if he gets 1 chance against Man City, he's going to have to do the same thing and put it in the back of the net. Kyle, as I do a little bit of dance moves with my phone, Andy Carroll, there we go, doesn't matter, don't have to do it anyway. Andy Carroll came on, what an assist, by the way, and he was a nuisance to Aston Villa's defenders. If Joelinton had kind of just watched what he did for the last 20 minutes, it would have been brilliant.
Well, we said on the preview we should have started. We wanted him to start because Villa are very suspect when they're against big centre forwards, and this is why we pushed for Andy Carroll to start. And when he came on and had that instant impact, it kind of showed. I think if he had the full 90 minutes today, we might actually been able to win this game.
What would you give him?
I'd give him a 7. I thought he came on and he did absolutely brilliant. If he had been started from the beginning, you think about some of the 50-50s Joelinton had. If they were Andy Carroll's, it would have been a knock on to Almiron in behind, or Shelvey, or a saint-maximin to put in that better place to score a goal. But for me, Andy Carroll was really good today, and I think he's really made his case to start a game in the future. Maybe too soon against Man City, as I don't think it's that type of game for him. What, against Man City? With the way Man City set up, do you reckon?
The only reason why I'd start him, I think he'd be a nuisance, and he holds the ball up well. Joelinton has his moments. 4-0 Liverpool, Mane. But again, for me, Carroll, the former Liverpool striker, remember. For me, I think he'd be a nuisance, and I think he could kind of go, do you know what? I'll ruffle his up a little bit, and then I'll bring a Gayle on. I might even say Joelinton, I wouldn't even probably start him this on Sunday. I don't think it's the game for him, if I'm being brutally honest. I think you need your Carroll and your Gayle in this game. That's just my
I wouldn't play 4-4-2.
No, I'm sorry. What I mean is I'd bring Gayle on. I wouldn't start him. But I'm saying if Carroll plays, it gives you an hour, gives you 65 minutes. I'd chuck Gayle on. I'd leave Joelinton in the Premier League and try and get used to Premier League football a little bit more if he can, because I don't think it's I don't think it's the game from. Would you start Joelinton or Andy Carroll or Dwight Gayle on Sunday, Sam?
It's a tricky one. I think Joelinton looked tired. I'd probably go with Carroll, but you're not going to get 90 minutes out of him. So do you give Carroll an hour and then bring on Joelinton or a Gale or a Muto if you're really desperate? I think the way he came on and bullied Mings, which is what I thought needed to happen after the first 10 minutes, to be honest, because Joelinton wasn't doing that. Could he do the same to a Laporte? No. Could he do the same to a Fernandinho or an Otamendi? Yeah,
he could.
It depends on what City do.
Yeah, for sure. Bentaleb and Lazaro are non-applicable for me. They weren't on long enough. I don't think any of the lads will disagree on that one.
I think it sums up Bentaleb fully. Non-applicable.
Non-applicable, yeah. Steve Bruce, if someone said to me 4 points from 2 games, and we've kind of talked about if we kind of expected the 4 points to come, you'd say, yeah, very good, very good. But when you get 3 points against Sheffield United, at home to Villa, no disrespect to Villa, but you're 19th in the table for a reason. You're kind of expecting to at least just edge out a win, even if it's not pretty. Both he made the substitutions and the work more or less instantly. It's a difficult one, this one, but Kyle, I'd probably go 5, maybe 6 at the best, because the substitutions worked to an extent.
The substitutions worked, but at the same time, Johnny, as I discussed before, I think Andy Carroll, if he'd have started, I think that the result's different. Joelinton, it wasn't Joelinton's type of game. He looked knackered, as Sam said, after about 20, 30 minutes. He was making loads of clumsy mistakes as well. I think if Andy Carroll starts this game, I think we get the win, because he get the knock on, things like that. And we'll look tired after 60 minutes, to be honest. I know we scored not long after that, but it was because of bad Villa defending mixed with Andy Carroll brilliance that got the goal. But I can't give him any more than the 5 either, because I think changes should have been made, especially with how soon into Project Restart we actually are. I think a couple of changes should have been made, especially in the middle of the park where after a certain amount of time we looked shattered. So that has to go against Bruce for me. But yeah, 5.
Sam, what score do you go with? So you can just put it on the screen, then I'll ask you a question.
So I'll go with 5. And I was with you, Johnny. I was kind of toying with the idea of a 6, but Kyle swayed me towards a 5. Where do you start? He should have made changes, but that's in hindsight. Can you blame him for going unchanged after?
Can you change a winning team 3-0? Joelinton's just scored. Ritchie's got on the score sheet. God knows how long. Surely you can't change it, can you?
You can when you got 3 games in 8 days. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's about managing your squad. I put on the Facebook private group the 11 I would choose, not a predicted 11, the 11 I would choose, and I'd have made a few subs. Ritchie shouldn't have been playing today. He was barely fit enough for Sheffield United. Why he's on the pitch today, I do not know. I love Ritchie to bits. I love when he's playing, especially with no crowd noise, so I can hear him. It's fantastic. Great value, but you've got to look after him. You've got to look after him, and I think that's where Bruce. He lets himself down. I don't think he looks after the squad, and we've seen that all season, especially right around Christmas time when there's a whole run of games. He tends to keep the same squad, and they just look tired, and he's not looking after his players. He didn't look after Lejeune around Christmas time. He's not looking after the likes of Ritchie now, and is Ritchie going to be fit for Sunday? I doubt it. Is Hayden? Pass. Is Almiron? Almiron looked knackered.
Hayden's the one, Hayden's the one for me. If he's injured, if you've got to bring Bentaleb in, or you've got to bring who else was on the bench? Sean Longstaff wasn't even on the bench today. Matty Longstaff was nowhere near to be on the bench either. So Bentaleb will be starting.
If ASM gets injured and you're not looking after his hamstrings with how explosive he is, then we're screwed. We're not going to look like scoring.
Yeah,
that's the tail of it. So. Look, if we'd have won tonight, he'd have been a genius, but we didn't. The performance was poor in essence. So,
lucky to have a point.
Yeah, very much so. And against these bottom teams at home, we're not putting them away, and that's puzzling.
Yeah, very puzzling. It's 5 out of 10 for Steve Bruce after that 1-1 draw against his former club in Aston Villa. Do you agree with me, Kyle and Sam? with our ratings. Obviously, the defence is a big talking point. The midfield with the wingers and ASM and Ritchie as well. So it's going to be interesting on Sunday, as our next game has just come very, very fast at the minute. Obviously, we'll have a preview show. Potentially, maybe will coincide with the black and white show as well, because obviously we've only got a couple of days until the Manchester City game, which the Manchester City game, you'll have exactly the same sort of criteria, scoring the players, live reaction, and also the last word as well. The last word is still to come tonight with Lee for Newcastle 1, Aston Villa 1. And we've also got a reaction with an Aston Villa fan. They'll be talking with, I think it's Rob, isn't that right, Sam, who will be discussing?
Yeah, it is Rob. Yeah, it is Rob. Although I should say, I mean, common knowledge, my wife is a Villa fan. And after Paul's comments on the preview last night, my wife was ready to come on and argue the point that should Villa have won tonight, but fortunately they didn't.
No, unfortunately for Villa fans, it didn't. But yes, it's Rob will be speaking to a Villa fan. Will they be staying up? It's very, very, very close at the bottom. All three teams with 27 points are Bournemouth, Villa, and West Ham. It'll be a very close finish to see who will be joining Norwich, it looks like, after their defeat to Everton in the Championship. My thanks to Sam and my thanks to Kyle, and we'll see you all very, very soon.